3,999, 4,000. Oh, hey guys, I'm here on 4,000 islands. Just counted them. There are 4,000. G'day guys, I'm Stephen somebody. This is Waterfall. You're watching video. So I just shot about 3 minutes worth of talking head to the camera with no audio. So here we go again. G'day guys, I'm just on the longtail boat out to Don Khon, which is where I'll be staying in the 4,000 islands. In this video I'm going to show you all the activities you can do on the 4,000 islands, also called Si Phan Don, or referred to as Don Det or Don Khon, which is the specific islands themselves. So I've got 2 full days here, 3 nights, so half a day today as well. In this video I'll show you all the activities. I'll show you both islands as I go exploring around them. We'll have a brief overview of the 4,000 islands archipelago region on the Mekong River, why people come here and where you might want to stay, etc. So just heading to Don Khon now, enjoying the view. This is an absolutely beautiful, peaceful ride. And yeah, we'll check out Don Khon sometime either today or tomorrow.
Laos is a landlocked country that shares a border with 5 countries, mostly Thailand and Vietnam, but on the southern border with Cambodia is the 4,000 Islands, an archipelago created by the Mekong River. If you're not coming through that border crossing with Cambodia, you're more than likely coming from an overnight bus from the capital Vientiane, or after having done the Thakhek loop or the Paxi loop. This same bus from Vientiane is the one that goes through Thakhek and normally terminates in Paxi. In my case, I'd just done the Thakhek loop, and to get to the 4,000 Islands, you will catch a ferry from Nakasong. The 4,000 Islands has 2 main tourist islands, Don Det and Don Khon. Don Det is the northern one, a cheaper ferry as it's closer, with most of the accommodation being on this northern tip. Don Khon, with more of the waterfalls, is on the southern end. It's larger, and all the accommodation is closer to the channel between the islands. I decided to stay in Don Khon. However, I was in Thakhek and I needed to make my way down there. Now what I'm about to show you I did not realise at the time, but there are actually 2 options to get down to Nakasong. All of the information online, which is all I was aware of at the time, suggested that you had to go to Paxi and change buses. However, you can see here there is one sleeper bus going directly to Nakasong. I didn't see this option at the time, however by pure coincidence, this is the bus that I ended up getting on through other means. However, note that there's only one departure time, whereas the buses that terminate in Paxi come roughly on the hour, and there are multiple. This is Thakhek bus terminal, the only one in town. There are some food options and some shops. I took this opportunity to upgrade my sunglasses.
Alright guys, so this is Paxi International or Provincial Bus Terminal. There are some pretty crappy reviews about the practices that go on from getting from Thakhek to Paxi. They will drop you off at a bus terminal to the north of town, force you to get a tuk-tuk, when in reality the bus is going to Chit Pasong, which is in the middle of town. Unfortunately, no matter which bus station I go to, I then have to get to the 8-kilometre bus terminal just outside of Paxi to get down to 4,000 Islands. So either way, I'm going to have to transfer from one bus terminal to another in Paxi, so it doesn't really help me too much. Anyway, so I need to go return the bike. I might check out Naga Hostel and Cafe, do transfers as well. It might even be worth me doing a full transfer down to 4,000 Islands. It'll cost me more, but everything will be organised. I don't know, we'll see. Otherwise, I'll be back here paying for a sleeper bus. We'll see what happens, see how I feel later. Time to return the bike, I think. Alright guys, sit rep, so it's 200,000 from the bus terminal to Paxi. They drop you off at the northern bus terminal. Then you have to transfer to the 8-kilometre bus terminal. I'll show you all this on the screen now. And from there, you need to get your tickets to Nakasong, which is where you get the ferry. Now, instead of doing all that and dealing with the scams with the tuk-tuk drivers and all that, I've come here to Naga Hostel and they organise transport directly from Naga Hostel straight to Nakasong. That's 410,000. I've booked 2 tickets because normally you share a bed, so it's 820,000 total for me. Basically that means is I pay $26 to not have to share a bed with a stranger and I get to spread out on the bed. I was going to do the same thing through the normal bus terminal. It would have been 400,000 to Paxi, plus a tuk-tuk fee to the 8-kilometre bus terminal would have been probably north of 100k with the scam, and then I still would have had to get another bus, possibly again with 2 tickets from Paxi to Nakasong. So this way is just so much easier. Now I've got time to go back, return the bike. I come back here, I can have a shower here, as long as I do it before 6:30. The alternative is going to the bus terminal, having to deal with the tuk-tuks to change bus terminal, and that's just more effort than I can be asked with today.
After returning my scooter and heading back to Naga Hostel, I was able to have a shower and charge all my things for the bus journey. I was picked up in a ute and driven out to the highway to meet the bus on the road. I was definitely glad to have paid for 2 tickets, given the size of these beds. With an inflatable pillow, I was comfortable enough to finally get to sleep. By the time the bus goes through Paxi, most people have left the bus and it's quite empty, just the tourists now heading down to the 4,000 islands. The beauty about this bus is that you don't have to wait around at the bus terminal for the buses to start running down to Nakasong. We arrived at the bus terminal in Nakasong just before 8 o'clock, whereas the buses from Paxi would only just begin to start running now. We were already here, ready to catch the ferry towards Don Det or Don Khon.
Alright guys, so that was an ordeal. I'm glad I paid for 2 tickets. Now I just want to clarify, the bus that we took did go to Thakhek bus station and it went all the way down to Nakasong. I don't remember seeing that option on any of the ticket counters, and I've never read anyone online talking about the fact that the bus goes all the way through. Everyone suggested that you have to change buses at Paxi, so I don't know if this is a new addition. I don't think it is. I believe it's possible to go from Thakhek straight down to Nakasong just by buying tickets at the ticket counter. Probably cheaper than going through Naga Hostel, but the convenience of just getting picked up from Naga Hostel and using their shower and all that was handy as well, because I didn't have accommodation to sit in for the afternoon. 7:40 we got in this morning. That was basically about 12 hours on the bus. It's about a 3-minute walk down to the foreshore or the jetty. I'm just going to get a coffee and a breakfast. I'm heading to Don Khon, but before I get on the boat, I'm just going to go do one activity. I am going to Khon Phapheng. Now, you can visit this from Don Det and Don Khon with a full-day kayak tour. The alternative is that you get the ferry from Don Det or Don Khon back to Nakasong. Then you get a tuk-tuk around to the waterfall. But in my head, I was like, what's the point of catching the ferry to Don Khon and Don Det? It's too early to check into my accommodation anyway. It's because I'm already in Nakasong. I cancel out that ferry trip basically for no reason. I just catch a tuk-tuk immediately. So 100k each way, 200k total. Couldn't be bothered bartering. That's a good price as far as I'm concerned. It's about 20 minutes, 25 minutes in a tuk-tuk. This gives me more free time later. It gives me 2 full days to explore Don Det and Don Khon of my own accord without having to book a tour or anything like that. And because we arrived at 7:40, I've been able to go enjoy a nice breakfast, and I'll probably be one of the first ones at the waterfall as well. Whereas if I did it as part of a full day tour, I'd just be with everyone else on the tour. And because we start in the kayak, we wouldn't get there until about midday. It'd be pretty busy. If you arrive via a night bus, I think it might be the best way to do it, to be fair. The tuk-tuk's a lot slower than I thought it was going to be. So the tuk-tuk driver gave me 1 hour here, which I think will be more than enough. So they call this the Niagara Falls of Asia. I've been to Niagara Falls. This doesn't look as good from the pictures. It's not as dramatic. It's more of a low, wide waterfall. It's just lots of water flow. And keep in mind, it is the dry season as well, so it won't look as impressive as it would have in the wet season. Alright guys, just quickly, because I'm already running late for the tuk-tuk driver and he's got all my bags. Sacred tree, also on this site. Would make for good photo ops and videos as well, but I just ran out of time. They ended up letting me fly the drone, which I didn't think they were going to do. Quite a long walk to the best viewpoints are right at the end, so when you enter, I recommend just walking straight to the end because that's where the best viewpoints are.
After this, we headed back to the pier to get the ferry across to Don Khon. You can see the prices listed here. Because I was travelling by myself, I had to pay the full $165,000. It is cheaper to go to Don Det because it is closer.
165,000 kip for a single person to go to Don Khon. I'll put the screen up. I'll put the prices up on the screen. Hopefully it's not too long before I can check in. Hopefully there's some accommodation options. I have not pre-booked anything. I do prefer to book things as you get there because you get a better price and more money goes to the actual place. There's plenty of good options out of Don Khon. There's plenty of good ones out of Don Det. So brief overview, where we are now is down the furthest south of Laos that you can get. The border with Cambodia is hundreds of metres away. The Mekong River here splits, well it doesn't split, but is interrupted by land, creating some sort of archipelago. They call it 4,000 islands. Nobody's actually counted them. I got to about 20, but that says more about how high I can count than it does the amount of islands here. It also depends on what you classify as an island. A lot of people will come through this region if they are crossing the land border to Cambodia or from Cambodia. Depending on your passport and who's at war with who, that may or may not be an option. I've taken this trip down, instead of doing the Thakhek loop and the Phapheng Plateau loop back to back, this gives me a chance to break up the motorbike loops and just relax a little bit, exploring at my own pace. I started with the Thakhek loop, breaking it up 4,000 islands, then I'm heading down to Paxi, or up to Paxi to do that loop. The two main islands, Don Det and Don Khon, they're the ones you're going to pick to stay at. Don Det is a bit more backpackerish. Don Khon is marketed more to families. I chose Don Khon because I wanted the peace and quiet more than anything, but also all the actual attractions, the waterfalls, are on Don Khon, which is what I want to see. I'm not too worried about nightlife or anything like that. So in this video we'll cover all the waterfalls. I'll show you maybe 2 or 3 temples that we'll check out, as well as some old French colonial remnants from hundreds of years ago, like bridges and old forts, etc. That's pretty much what there is in 4,000 islands, just enjoying the peace and quiet on the Mekong. That is the main attraction here, chance to relax and unwind, which is exactly what I'm going to be using it for. But in the same sense, I am going to try and see all of the things that the islands have to offer. Let's enjoy the ride now, and then when we land, we'll try to find some accommodation. When I finally get around to doing the activities, whether it's today or tomorrow, I'll be sure to show you. This is also my chance to relax a little bit. I won't be showing you that.
I had about 5 different properties that I was willing to check out and stay at. Fortunately, one of them is right here at the pier. It's called Bon Tai Resort, and they had a room. Straight off the pier, literally, Bon Tai Resort. It's got awesome reviews. I had already had an eye on this one. The other one was Pan's Guest House, but I think that's all booked out. 20 US a night for non-bookings. If you book, it's a little bit more expensive. But as I said, there's plenty of good places to stay. Another one, if you want more privacy, Pamalo Guest House, right down the south end of Don Khon. And Mamaloe on Don Det has a bit of privacy as well. This one, not so much privacy, but awesome location. Can't complain. I've got a corner room as well, so I've only got one wall with a neighbour, which is a major selling point for me. The room was $20 US per night. It's a little bit more expensive if you book online. It had good views across the river, mosquito nets, 2 beds, plenty of hanging space, and a shower and toilet bathroom that was big enough for me. There wasn't really too much to complain about. It was more about exploring the island anyway, but it's nice to have some creature comforts.
No idea where I'm going. Well, I kind of do. I'm just following the paved path to the end. Contemplating getting a scooter for tomorrow. This is free with the resort, but there's no gears. It's just painful once you get to top speed. Can't accelerate anymore. Just riding around, trying to enjoy the afternoon. I was going to film something actually. I was down at the old French Port, which is the far south of the island. It only took me 15 minutes to get there, so shows you just how quick you can ride around. And then the pedal. Oh, it's come off. So the ride back is proving a bit more challenging, and I think that has made the decision easier in my mind to just rent a scooter instead. In the meantime, I've got to try and get this thing back home with one pedal. Kind of getting a rhythm, but can't build up any pace, that's for sure. I think it's faster than walking, but only just. So this is stop number one. This is the French Port, the one on Don Det. There is also one down on the south of Don Khon. There is literally no information or context about the history in that. It's still in operation now. Boats come and leave from here just to drop off tourists and whatnot. And yeah, this is the northeast corner of Don Det. There's not really much to say about this one. Walking around here, there are no plaques or pieces of information whatsoever, but it does make for a good sunrise. I did decide to rent a scooter in the end. It's just easier. I don't want to deal with these crappy bikes again. It's a lot easier for me just getting around in a hurry. So I started in Don Det. I was looking for a place to come for sunrise, but also there is a coffee place here called Jay's Coffee that I'm hoping has good coffees. I haven't had a good coffee yet. I've tried about 3 different places since I've been here. So we'll just check out, there's a little temple nearby. I don't think it's going to be overly exciting, but then it's just gone 7 a.m, so some places should start opening up for breakfast soon. So next on the list was Wat Don Det. This is a temple, not too far, probably a couple 100 metres away from where we were at the French Old Port. Looks like it's still under construction, to be fair. A number of gates around, but they're all closed, and a lot of the structures look like they're not finished. Scaffold and stuff around. I don't think this is really a tourist attraction yet. I think it will be one day. It's either not open yet, as in at 7 a.m, or it's not open full stop because it's not finished. But it is nice and peaceful, just hanging out amongst the cows. Hello. That's Wat Don Det and the French Old Port. 2 activities, neither of which I have much context about or information about, but you can come have a look at them if you want.
After the temple visit, I found a restaurant on the east coast of Don Det, overlooking the Mekong, for breakfast. Then I headed down the ring road on the west side. The main road is through the middle of the island, but there is a ring road, not in as good condition. On this western side, there are lots of places that they call little beaches, with little beach bars attached.
So this is just a little bonus one. I hadn't actually written this down among us 2 activities. There's a few different beach stops that you can do. So I just thought I'd show you one of them. These are more of a late afternoon, nighttime activity thing. People come down here and, I guess, party, play a bit of music and whatnot. But even in the afternoon when it gets a bit warmer, or late afternoon, you'll have people come here and swimming. So they've got like a little beach bar and some chairs and whatnot to relax in. This one here is Folie Paradise Beach. So yeah, I just thought I'd check it out since I'm riding past it. Obviously there's no one here at the moment because it's about 8:30 in the morning. Still haven't had a good coffee. Jay's Coffee was not open, so the search continues. So yeah, that's one of a handful of beaches I've ridden past about. Might be the 3rd one I've ridden past on this west side of Don Det. I think this is one of the more popular ones. Got the fire pit set up there, little beach bar, a couple of hammocks over there, and the river's nice and calm here. So I don't know, if you're staying on Don Det, it wouldn't be a bad place to come. Bit of a hassle to get here from Don Khon unless you had a scooter. This road down the west side of Don Det is not in the best condition. The main road shoots up the middle of the island. It's not horrible either, but just a few bumps and things to look out for. Okay, so that is essentially it for Don Det. There's more restaurants and accommodation options there. I think they're a little bit cheaper, but as far as the what you'd call attractions, I guess, more of it is over on Don Khon where I'm staying. So just behind me is the Don Det Don Khon Bridge, and obviously it links the two islands. A bit of a landmark, I guess, if you want to take photos or just as a subject for sunsets and stuff. If you're on Don Khon, like where my resort is, Bon Tai, not only that resort, but a lot of the others with the waterfront views, the sunset's just behind the bridge there, so it's a really good sort of landmark for that. And yeah, it's just a nice bit of architecture to look at, I guess. It's worth stopping by just on the riverbanks here and then enjoying the view for a little bit. And that is your link between the two islands, whether it's by bicycle or scooter or walking. That's where you got to get to if you want to change islands. Alright guys, so that is technically on Google Maps. This is marked as two different items, but it's the same thing. It's the Automotive Museum and the French Locomotive. It's marked twice on Google Maps, but this is it. And this is the first thing I've come to that actually has some information. So there's 4 plaques around there giving you information about the rail, why it was built, which was because the French were trying to access China via the Mekong, and they had to get boats hopefully upstream and whatnot. But obviously you got all the falls around the 4,000 islands. So the southern French port, they had to get the rail from there to the northern French port in Don Det to transport steamboats so they could cross the rapids, which were insurmountable with the steamboats.
The French were hoping to use the Mekong River to assist with their trading with China, since it flows all the way from the sea up to China, potentially to deliver or receive Chinese burns. Unfortunately, at the 4,000 Islands archipelago, there was no clear way through for the boats to access upstream. Some of these obstacles include Khon Phapheng Falls, that we looked at yesterday, Khon Pa Soy Falls, which we will look at today, and Phi Somphamit Falls, which we will look at tomorrow. All of these rapids basically make the Mekong impassable by boat. Because of this, a railway was built from the 2 French ports, one on the south of Don Khon and one in Don Det. The railway used to run across the bridge linking the islands. This way, steamboats could be loaded, transported, and then loaded back into the river. bypassing the rapids.
Anyway, bit of history, which is good for once. Free entry, you just walk in, walk around. There's just one steam engine there and about 4 plaques worth of information. So it gives you a bit of context about the French port that we visited this morning. So yeah, that's a good one actually. I like reading.
After leaving the railway memorial, there was a little temple to visit on the way through to the next waterfall. This temple, same as the one on Don Det, they're on the shortcut roads that cut across the island. This one has the gates open, the road goes straight through the temple. I'm just going to push the scooter through unless I see someone else riding through, because I'm not sure if you are meant to. Okay, that answers that. I guess you can ride through the temple. Overall, I'd say this is better than the last temple, almost by default, just because the gates are open. It also looks like it's not under construction. I'd say it is smaller than the other one, which extended beyond the perimeter fencing. It's peaceful amongst the birds. Nobody else here anyway. You would not see this if you didn't know, if you weren't looking for it, because it's the shortcut from east to west across the island. Most people just take that main ring road, which I did. I missed it the first time. Had to do a U-turn to come find it. Every other attraction on Don Det and Don Khon are on the main ring road or signposted off that main ring road. These two are not. They're on these little shortcut roads that cut across the island. But yeah, if you want to come have a look at some of the handicrafts and the, I do like these entrance gates, the archways. They are pretty nice. And this is kind of technically on the way if you want to go through the north end of Don Khon and down to Khon Pa Soy Waterfall, which is where I'll probably head next. So 20,000 kip entry, there was no scooter or bike parking fee, so 20,000 kip, very cheap. The restaurant is in disrepair. Looks like they, well, I'm not sure if they are, but it looks like they're partway through either rebuilding or building. Once you cross the bridge, there is a hiking track heading east still. I'm just going to follow this as far as I can and see what other falls we've got. I think maybe some places for a swim. Alright guys, so this is Khon Pa Soy Waterfall. Similar to Khon Phapeng in that it's a series of different rapids along the Mekong flowing downstream. Most rivers do. This one is a bit of freedom to jump around the rocks and stuff. There are some more protected parts with less flow that you could go for a swim. I'll be very wary about leaving my stuff too far away from me because there's a few local kids around. There's always reports of them pinching things out of bags or taking bags completely. Wouldn't go swimming anywhere out to the middle of the stream because you get washed away downstream, although it would be pretty easy to reach the bank again. Don't know if you really want to be smashing into rocks on the way. So for 20,000 kip, this is definitely right up there, value for money wise, especially considering the fact that you can jump across the rocks, go for a swim. You've got a lot of freedom here to do whatever you want. It's an okay looking waterfall. I've seen better and we'll see better, especially on the Paxi Loop, but for what it is, it's a bit of fun, 20,000 kip.
So these little contraptions that you see in the water, they're for catching fish basically. The locals set up those little stations. What they do with the fish, it's none of my business. So I just stopped and had lunch, just cooled down for a little bit in the shade, and now we're just checking out a few more activities. Still on Don Khon. This is the Khon Tai temple, or Wat Khon Tai, and that is a cow, a Buddhist cow. Yeah, so this is the third temple that we've seen today. These are not magnificent temples that you would travel around to see. I'm just showing you what is on the island. Me personally, I'm not really into just your everyday sort of run-of-the-mill temples. I prefer the waterfalls and caves and things like that. But it's something to do, something to see. We've pretty much covered most of the activities that you can do on the 4,000 islands. But that's not really what the 4,000 islands is about. It's more just come and relax and go at a slower pace. Even though I've had the scooter, I could have done everything today on a bicycle as well. Would have sweated more perhaps, but I would have got it all done with plenty of time to spare. There are a few sort of landmarks or activities to check out still, but I'm not going to try and rush them in today. I'm going to get to them tomorrow. I do want to relax in the afternoon, have the afternoon off without any cameras and this backpack, which really does start to weigh you down after a while. So that is Wat Khon Tai. Just behind me is actually some ruins from the Khmer Empire, which was, I don't know, like 800 years ago. Same ones that built Angkor Wat. These are the only ruins from that empire that remain, apparently, on the 4,000 islands. And I got that off a Google review, so don't quote me on that. There's no informational plaques about it. It's not even fenced off or anything, which is pretty crazy, but this is them. I'm not going to do too much more this arvo. Since it is the heat of the day though, I might just go check out a beach down the south of the island and head for a swim. That will tie things off nicely.
After witnessing the great migration of Don Khon, it was time to head off the ring road down south to a little beach.
Alright guys, this is the last thing for today. It is Khon Nyai beach. It's a 1 kilometre dirt road off the main ring road. You'll see it signposted, and this is where you end up. So where I am now, I've just gone over a little hill. There's little, I guess you call them coves, little secluded spots you can go to. Well, there is the big main sandy area, which I'll show you as well. Where I am now is literally 30-40 metres from the entrance. You just got to turn right and climb over a little hill, and then you get this little portion to yourself. There are a few people here, but it's not busy by any stretch of the imagination, and the views here are fantastic. The view behind me, I've just set up the camera to take a few shots, and I might even come back here tomorrow for a swim. So we've had a reasonably busy day. We've basically ticked off every activity. I deliberately didn't rush through them because I saved a couple for tomorrow. So what you've seen today is about 90% of the activities to do in the 4,000 islands. Most of them are on Don Khon. To be honest, I personally am not that big a fan of the temples and that side of things. They're all kind of the same. The waterfalls, I did like Khon Pa Soy, just because of the freedom that you had to go rock hopping and swimming wherever you wanted. I thought that was pretty cool for only 20,000 kip entry. That's a really good one. This place is pretty peaceful.
Unfortunately, instead of having a relaxing afternoon, I noticed on the way back that my tyre was flat. Not just an inner tube popped, but the sidewall ripped. I took it to a bike mechanic and had to wait around for them to fix it. This took a couple of hours out of my afternoon. Fortunately, they at least had the Mai Tai on.
Alright guys, so where I was this morning, that was the old French port on Don Khon, or Don Khon, still don't know how you say it. And the one we visited yesterday morning was the old French port on Don Det. Now, after visiting the Locomotive Museum Memorial, there's a bit of context about what they actually are, but the ports were built for a rail line to bypass falls like where we are now. This is Si Phan or Somphamit Falls on the west side, and the Khon Pa Soy Falls on the east side. And yeah, apologies, probably pronouncing that wrong, but basically there was no way to transport boats along the Mekong. So by building that port on the south side of Don Khon and the railway, then the bridge that crosses Don Khon to Don Det, that was part of the railway, all the way to Don Det, they were able to bypass falls like where we are now. So those falls to the south, that's an awesome place to go for sunrise and sunset. Straight across the border is Cambodia, like a couple hundred metres away is Cambodia. Oh guys, so I just crossed the bridge. There is just a number of pathways. I don't really know where anything goes. Where I am now is Si Phan Falls on the west side of Don Khon. 33,000 kip entry. Let's take a look around. Not sure if you can hear me right now over the sound of the waterfall, but where I am now is just part of the 33,000 kip entry. It's not part of the bridge. There are some cool spots you can get to. I'm not even sure if you're meant to be down here, but there are some pretty good lookout spots. So Si Phan Falls at the moment, 33k entry is definitely worth it as long as you ignore the do not go beyond this point signs and you come down and crawl along the rocks. If you don't get any really good viewpoints, but down here you get some pretty good viewpoints and you just got to ignore the signs. Wouldn't do it in wet season, but in dry season you can tell there's no high tide marks or anything like that. It's pretty safe within reason, you know, don't be an idiot, but you can definitely come down, crawl along the riverbank down in the gorge and it's a lot more fun. Good value for money. I'm about to head up. I've just seen the gate there for the suspension bridge behind me there. It's 250,000 kip. I haven't even done it yet, but I already know it's a rip-off, but I'm going to pay to do it anyway. There is also a zip line, 750,000 kip. No way in hell am I doing that. One, for cash limitations, but two, having done the half-day course at the rock viewpoint on the Thakhek loop, this just looks pathetic in comparison. No chance of doing the zip line, but I'll check out the suspension bridges. All right guys, I've made it to the end. I'm not sure you can hear me. I think I'm going to get hearing loss if I stay here too long. I think this is better than Phapheng just because the views that you get here are a little bit better. You get a little bit closer to the water. This is the dry season, so the water's clean, it's flowing strong and loud. I've seen photos of the wet season, it flows a lot harder, but the water's all dirty as well. I'd definitely come check it out in wet season as well, but very different look to it in the wet season. Today is my last day on the 4,000 Islands. After this, we're gonna head into Paxi tomorrow. Like I said, I'm gonna try and enjoy it for what it is, which was meant to be relaxing. It hasn't been so far with the pop tyre and that ruined my relaxation time yesterday. But yeah, what do you think of 4,000 Islands? So this is pretty much the last activity in Si Phan Don, Don Khon, Don Det, whatever you want to call it, 4,000 Islands. I or you could easily do all of them in a day. It depends how much you want to spend time-wise at each location. That is basically all of the activities that you can do just visiting them by yourself. If you do the kayak tour, do it first because you will visit a lot of these waterfalls as part of that tour, and then when you go visiting things on the bicycle or scooter or walking, you don't have to go back and double dip on some of these activities. If you are going to do the kayak tour, do that first and then you know what you don't have to go back to, or you know what's good that you really want to go back to. Alright guys, this is the end of the Lipi Falls walkway. Is it worth 250k? No, not really if you compare it to other activities. Is it the best waterfall I've visited in the 4,000 Islands? Yes it is, because of how close you can get to the waterfall, with the exception of Pa Soy Waterfall, if you prefer your rock hopping and swimming, but scenically, this is the best one, and I think this is actually better than Phapheng. Even though Phapheng is bigger, you can't get as many good angles as you can thanks to the walkway. So I do recommend the walkway. I do think it's a rip-off, but I also recommend it. For context, 250k plus a 33k entry, that's 283. I did the Cong Law single boat tour for 300k. Cong Law Cave, 7.5 kilometre boat ride, exploring the village on the other side, and a couple land stops inside the cave system. Definitely 300k is worth it for that. This is a little bit overpriced, but you can't avoid it, so I guess I still recommend it. It's noisy, and the grid mesh is not suited for tripods. It's a very fine balancing act before my camera falls over. I'm just going to take some photos and videos and then we'll head back.
This light jacket is no match for the bitterness of my attachments. Iron bracelets, clicking teeth, carving letters into dirty sheets, origami paper, slow to unfolding. You are the wild geese, somehow consoling me. This holy labor, are kind of fascinating when you are near to me. I am the wild geese. This thing,
The buffalo had the right idea. It was definitely time for lunch.
naked skin, couldn't keep out what I'm keeping.
Dropped off all my big bags, had a shower, went for a ride again. Trying to find some good coffee one last time. Fortunately, Jay's Coffee was open this time, and the coffee is definitely the best that I tried during my time on the island. The reviews were accurate this time. I found another place later for lunch. It was good to finally enjoy the island pace and relax a little bit. There is one more good coffee shop on the island that I found anyway. It's right near the old French Port in Don Det. That pretty much wrapped up my time on the 4,000 Islands. I had the first boat back to the mainland tomorrow to head off to the Paxi Loop, which will be covered in another video.
When you are near to me, I am the wild geese. When you are near to me, I am the wild geese.
I know they do full trans. The alternative method is that you get the... Hey guys, I'm here at Khon, and that's the intent with which where I went yesterday, and my bicycle predator. Yeah, I'm gonna try and why it was built, which was obvious. There are some more secluded, less, some people say they, but once from the Khmer, so where I am now is Lipi, charging a fair bit to it. But anyway, let's have a look at, to put it into context though, 33,000 entry, 250,000, oh no, put it into context later.